More than 40 years have passed since The Cosby Show first aired, and yet, for millions of people who grew up with that Brooklyn brownstone as a second home, the Huxtables still feel like family they actually lost. 4 decades is a long time. The children have grown into middle age. Some have built lives so different from their characters that the contrast takes a moment to absorb. What follows is the full account. The love stories no one predicted. The private battles that went unseen, the public scandals that cost real people real things, and the deaths, some of them so recent they still feel wrong. This show was about a family. What happened to the people who made it is, in its own way, a story about all of us. Sit with it. Some of it will be harder to hear than you expect. Number 1. We have Phylicia Rashad as Claire Huxtable. Claire was the still center of the family's world. The lawyer mother who proved every week that brilliance and warmth were not competing forces. Phylicia Rashad was 36 years old when the show began. She appeared in all 201 episodes, and her portrayal of Claire Huxtable did something specific and historical. She placed a black woman on primetime television who was poised, brilliant, funny, and entirely undimmed by motherhood or marriage. At 77 in 2026, Rashad remains one of the most decorated performers in American theatrical history. In 2004, she became the first black woman to win the Tony Award for Best Actress in a Play for a Broadway revival of A Raisin in the Sun. She received Emmy nominations for This Is Us, appeared in the Creed film trilogy, and served as Dean of the College of Fine Arts at Howard University, her alma mater, from 2021 until her retirement in 2024. She has been married 3 times. Her first marriage to William Lancelot Bowles Jr. in 1972 ended in divorce in 1975 and produced a son, William III. Her second, to Victor Willis, the original lead singer of The Village People, whom she met during The Wiz, also ended. Her third marriage was to NFL broadcaster Ahmad Rashad, who proposed on national television during a Thanksgiving halftime show in 1985. They had a daughter, Condola Rashad, who became an acclaimed Broadway actress. That marriage ended in divorce in 2001. What shadowed the later chapters of Rashad's reputation was not failure, but loyalty. In 2015, when accusations against Bill Cosby became impossible to ignore, she called them orchestrated. In June 2021, when Cosby's conviction was overturned on a procedural technicality, she tweeted, "Finally, a terrible wrong is being righted." Howard University issued a public rebuke within hours. She clarified but never fully retracted. For women who had loved Claire Huxtable as a feminist ideal, watching the actress defend the man who invented the character was a specific, painful kind of grief. And it has never fully resolved. Claire Huxtable was a model of grace and professional power, but Phylicia Rashad proved that even the most graceful women can carry contradictions that don't quietly dissolve. Number 2, we have Malcolm Jamal Warner as Theo Huxtable. Theo was the son every parent wanted to have a real conversation with. The boy who made mistakes beautifully and always, eventually, came back toward his family. Malcolm Jamal Warner was 14 years old when the show began. He appeared in all 201 episodes and anchored its most famous scene, the pilot's regular people speech, in which his father told him he could afford to be mediocre if he wanted. The way Warner received that speech, embarrassed, then chastened, then genuinely moved, made the audience fall in love with both of them at once. He spent the years after the show building a second career with quiet discipline. He created and starred in the UPN sitcom Malcolm and Eddie from 1996 to 2000. He won a Grammy Award in 2015 for Best Traditional R&B Performance alongside the Robert Glasper Experiment. His longest sustained later role was as Dr. A.J. Austin on Fox's medical drama The Resident, which he played from 2018 until its 2023 cancellation. Warner kept his personal life private and deliberate. He had dated Michelle Thomas, the actress who played Theo's on-screen girlfriend, from 1988 to 1994, a relationship the audience watched unfold in fiction and reality simultaneously. She died in 1998. He was at her bedside. In later years, he built a life with a partner he rarely discussed publicly. They had a daughter. He spoke in interviews about watching the show with her and marveling at what it still meant to a generation that had grown up after him. He carried the show's complicated weight without performing it. He said, clearly and repeatedly, that he remained proud of the work, and that carrying that pride alongside the knowledge of who had created the character was its own kind of reckoning, one he had learned to live inside rather than resolve. Malcolm Jamal Warner died on July 20th, 2025, at the age of 54, from asphyxia following an accidental drowning after a strong ocean current caught him near Cocos Beach in Limon Province, Costa Rica, while on a family vacation. He died in the middle of a life he had built with unusual care, surrounded by the privacy he had always protected, which makes the suddenness of it feel entirely wrong. Theo Huxtable was proof that boys could be tender without being weak, and Malcolm Jamal Warner spent the rest of his life proving the same thing. Number 3, we have Lisa Bonet as Denise Huxtable. Denise was the beautiful dreamer, the one who didn't quite fit the family's mold, and made the audience quietly hope she never would. Lisa Bonet was 16 when she was cast as Denise, and her popularity within the first 2 seasons was so significant that NBC gave her a spin-off, A Different World, in 1987. At 58 in 2026, Bonet remains one of the most compelling and deliberately elusive figures the show produced. She left A Different World after its first season, reportedly connected to creative tensions and her choice to appear in the psychological horror film Angel Heart, a project that included a graphic scene Bill Cosby allegedly attempted to prevent. Her screen career slowed through the 1990s and 2000s, though she had notable roles in Enemy of the State, 1998, and High Fidelity, 2000, and has worked selectively since. Her romantic life moved in 3 distinct chapters. In 1987, she eloped with Lenny Kravitz in Las Vegas, and they had a daughter, Zoe Kravitz, before divorcing in 1993. In 2005, she began a relationship with Jason Momoa, which produced daughter Lola Iolani and son Nakoa Wolf, and culminated in a marriage in October 2017. They announced their separation in January 2022 and finalized the divorce in January 2024. She has given no public interviews about it. What Bonet never received was credit proportional to her artistic bravery. Angel Heart at 19, made against the show's explicit wishes, was in many ways more fearless than anything the television industry was offering. She legally changed her name to Lila Coy Moon in 1995, a private reclamation that the press mostly treated as eccentricity. The pattern across her adult life has been consistent. She chose her interior world over her public one, at measurable professional cost, and seems to have considered that a fair trade. Denise Huxtable was the rebel who ran towards something rather than from it, and Lisa Bonet proved, across 4 decades of deliberate choices, that she was doing exactly the same. Number 4, we have Keshia Knight Pulliam as Rudy Huxtable. Rudy was the youngest Huxtable, the one the audience watched grow up in real time, and whose unguarded presence gave the whole show something to protect. Keshia Knight Pulliam was 5 years old when she joined the show, and at age 6 received an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series, one of the youngest nominees in the award's history. Her childhood on screen was genuine, and audiences felt the difference. At 47, Knight Pulliam continues to work steadily. Her longest post-show role has been on Tyler Perry's House of Pain, which she joined in 2007 and which earned her back-to-back NAACP Image Awards for Outstanding Supporting Actress. The series entered its 12th season in 2024. In 2016, she surprised fans with the announcement she had married former NFL linebacker Ed Hartwell. What followed was one of the most publicly brutal divorces of that year. Hartwell filed for divorce 7 months into the marriage, 1 week after Knight Pulliam announced she was pregnant, and demanded a paternity test. The paternity was confirmed. Their daughter, Ella Grace, was born in January 2017. The divorce was finalized in April 2018. In September 2021, she married actor Brad James, a fellow Tyler Perry alumnus, in an intimate home ceremony. They had a son, Knight James, in April 2023. What the tabloid coverage missed was the price the Hartwell ordeal extracted. Knight Pulliam disclosed that she had discovered infidelity early in the marriage, chosen to stay for the sake of their unborn child, and was blindsided when Hartwell filed anyway. Compounding that period was her choice to attend a day of Bill Cosby's sexual assault trial in 2017, which violated a custody order and became ammunition in ongoing legal proceedings. She said she had no regrets. Cosby had been a professional father figure to her since she was 5 years old. Rudy Huxtable was the show's conscience disguised as a child, and Keshia Knight Pulliam rebuilt her adult life one specific, hard-won choice at a time. Number 5, we have Tempestt Bledsoe as Vanessa Huxtable. Vanessa was the middle child, always trying to catch up, to Sandra's polish, to Denise's cool, and she made that effort feel like love rather than envy. Tempestt Bledsoe was 11 years old when the show began. She grew across all 8 seasons as one of its most persistently relatable characters, the place where comedy and earnestness met without either winning. At 52, Bledsoe has lived the most deliberately quiet post-show career of the original Huxtable children. After the series, she took occasional roles and hosted Clean House on the Style Network for several years. She had a brief run on the NBC Comedy Guys with Kids in 2012. More recently, she co-hosted a Prime Video Halloween special in 2023 and has maintained a measured, thoughtful distance from the entertainment industry's full machinery. What she has kept close is a long, steady partnership with actor Daryl M. Bell, best known for his role on A Different World. They have been together for decades, one of the longest, quietest love stories in this entire extended cast family, and almost entirely uncovered by the press, which says something about what the press tends to find interesting. In interviews, Bledsoe has been notably honest about the psychological weight of carrying a genuinely happy childhood experience that is now inseparable from a man's crimes. She has spoken about being asked to feel shame for something she was not responsible for and about the effort it takes to hold both the warmth of the show and the shadow of its creator without letting either erase the other. Vanessa Huxtable was always reaching for something just beyond her grasp, and Tempestt Bledsoe proved that sometimes the wisest thing is to decide, clearly and finally, what you are no longer reaching for. Number 6, we have Jeffrey Owens as Elvin Thibodeau. Elvin was the boyfriend who thought he was smarter than everyone in the room, and who spent the better part of 7 seasons being gently, consistently, and comically corrected. Jeffrey Owens joined the show in its second season in 1985, at age 24. He appeared in more than 100 episodes, and his character's arc, from casually condescending fiancé to a husband and father capable of genuine humility, was one of the most sustained comedic evolutions the show produced. At 64, Owens is working steadily on mid-budget television. After years of intermittent roles and teaching acting classes to support himself, he currently appears on Damon Wayans' CBS sitcom Papa's House and has had recurring work on Power Book 2, Ghost, The Haves, and The Have-Nots, and various other projects. He has been married to Josette since 1995. In 2018, a tabloid published photographs of Owens working as a cashier at a Trader Joe's in New Jersey and framed them as evidence of a fallen career. What they were actually evidence of was the everyday reality of acting as a profession. Owens had been working at the store for over a year, used its flexible scheduling to continue auditioning, and considered the work honest and useful. The story went viral. Tyler Perry offered him a role immediately. Nicki Minaj sent him $25,000, which he donated to charity. He described receiving support from around the world. In a 2024 interview, Owens said he still struggles every day to make ends meet, that the Cosby Show's residuals were never substantial for him, and that the show's removal from syndication following Cosby's conviction had made them even less so. He said people can't understand it because they see him in movies. He said he had no regrets about the grocery store, that every job is worthwhile, and that he hopes what lasts from his moment of unwanted fame is the conversation it started. Elvin Thibodeau was the man who had to be corrected by everyone around him before he became who he was supposed to be. And Jeffrey Owens proved that dignity requires no external validation, only the willingness to keep showing up. Number 7, we have Earl Hyman as Russell Slide Huxtable. Russell was the patriarch behind the patriarch, the jazz trombonist grandfather who showed Cliff Huxtable where his warmth had come from, and showed the audience what it looks like to grow old with joy. Earl Hyman was 57 years old when the show began, though the remarkable fact was that he was only 11 years older than Bill Cosby, who played his son. He appeared in 40 episodes and received an Emmy nomination in 1986 for the Season 2 episode Happy Anniversary, which featured the family lip-syncing to Ray Charles's Nighttime is the Right Time, a scene that remains one of the most beloved moments in American sitcom history. Hyman had spent more than 4 decades as an acclaimed stage actor before The Cosby Show made him known to a mass audience. He was a founding member of the American Shakespeare Theater and played Othello more than 200 times. He received a Tony nomination in 1980 for his work in an Edward Albee play. He was also one of the most celebrated American theatrical figures in Norway, where he spoke fluent Norwegian, maintained a second home, starred in a Norwegian television sitcom, and received the Order of St. Olav from the Norwegian king for his cultural contributions. Hyman never married and had no children. What he kept private for most of his life, revealed only through personal correspondence discovered after his death, was his 50-year relationship with Rolf Sørnes, a Norwegian seaman from Haugesund, whom he described as a passionate friendship and his partner. Sørnes died in 2004, 13 years before Hyman. He spent his final years at the Lillian Booth Actors Home in Englewood, New Jersey, the retirement community maintained by the Actors Fund for performing artists who have aged out of industry income. A man who had performed Ibsen in Norway, Shakespeare at the Public Theater, and a lip sync that made a generation laugh, ended his life cared for by the artistic community to which he had given everything. Earl Hyman died on November 17, 2017, at the age of 91, at the Lillian Booth Actors Home. No cause of death was publicly disclosed. He outlived the show, outlived its scandal, outlived the partner he had loved for 50 years, and spent his final chapter surrounded by people who understood what a life spent entirely in service of a craft actually means. Russell Huxtable was wisdom in a cardigan, and Earl Hyman left behind a life so full, 7 decades of Shakespeare, Norwegian stages, and 1 unforgettable lip sync, that no single role could ever summarize it. Number 8, we have Raven-Symone as Olivia Kendall. Olivia was the addition that could have broken the show's rhythm, the precocious, irresistible child inserted into a family that already had 5 children. And she instead charmed her way into the audience's affection with a force that bordered on alarming. Raven-Symone was 3 years old when she joined the show in 1989, making her one of the youngest cast members in the history of a major American sitcom. She appeared in 28 episodes across the show's final seasons, performing at a level of comedic timing that remains genuinely hard to explain. At 40 in 2026, Raven-Symone has had one of the most fully executed second careers of any former child performer. After the show, she became a Disney Channel cornerstone through That's So Raven, which ran from 2003 to 2007. She reprised the role as an adult in the sequel series Raven's Home, which ran from 2017 to 2023, this time playing a divorced mother navigating life alongside her children. She co-hosted The View in 2015 and 2016. She continues to record original music and appear in projects across television and streaming. In June 2020, she married Miranda Madai, a film industry professional. She had publicly come out in 2013, stating that she was happy and in a relationship with a woman. She has been consistent about protecting the details of her personal life while remaining open about who she is. Her time on The View drew significant criticism, particularly from within the Black community, for several statements on topics including discrimination and colorism. She has spoken in the years since about the pressure of that public role and the growth that came after it. She arrived on television at 3 years old, already more prepared than most adults ever become. By 40, she had survived child stardom, navigated 2 complete career reinventions, married the person she loves, and built a private life inside an extraordinarily public one. Olivia was the scene stealer who arrived to light up whatever room she entered, and Raven-Symone proved, across 4 decades, that the instinct never left her. The final entry carries a different kind of weight. Number 9, we have Michelle Thomas as Justine Phillips. Justine was Theo's girlfriend, the one who loved him with a patience that sometimes made the audience love him more than he deserved. Michelle Thomas joined the show in 1988 at the age of 19 and appeared through 1990. Off-screen, she and Malcolm Jamal Warner were real-life partners from 1988 to 1994. The audience watched a version of their relationship play out on screen, which gave Justine a warmth the script alone couldn't fully account for. After the show, Thomas moved to Family Matters, where she played Myra Monkhouse, the devoted girlfriend of Steve Urkel. From 1993 to 1998, becoming one of the most recognizable faces in NBC's Friday night block. In 1998, she joined The Young and the Restless as a new character and received an NAACP Image Award nomination for her work there. Her career was in active expansion. Then it stopped. Thomas and Warner had separated 4 years before she became ill, but they remained genuinely close. When she was diagnosed and began a long losing battle, he was among those who stayed. In August 1997, Michelle Thomas was diagnosed with a desmoplastic small round cell tumor, an exceptionally rare and aggressive cancer. She was 28, a lifelong vegetarian who neither smoked nor drank. She declined certain treatments out of fear they would compromise her ability to have children one day. She never had the chance. She continued working through Family Matters for as long as her body allowed. Malcolm Jamal Warner was at her bedside when she died. They had loved each other in the specific, real way that very few people managed to sustain across a separation, and he was there at the end. Michelle Thomas died on December 23, 1998, at the age of 30, from a desmoplastic small round cell tumor at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York City. She died at 30 with more career ahead of her than behind her, and with more life than she had been given time to live, which is the kind of fact that does not get easier no matter how many times you read it. Justine Phillips was the love interest who deserved a better story than the one she got, and Michelle Thomas left an impression so full and so specific that 30 years has not been enough time to diminish it.